Well, hello. It's around that time, 7:30. And I'm just gonna stick around here for a little bit, see if anybody wants to show up for the live or if most of you want to just check this out. Um, After I'm done, I am really excited that this week finally arrived because the topic of confidence and insecurities has come up, or it comes up every single day, not only for me, but I know that for a lot of you. So that's the reason why I've done this. Uh, I realized that we don't necessarily always hear the things that will help us. There's a lot of positive thinking wave, and I am all for positive thinking, but I'm also all for figuring out exactly what's going on before you try to think your way out of it. So yeah, that's pretty much why I'm doing this. This is gonna be 5 days of tackling your insecurities, and today's day one. And as an authenticity and confidence coach, obviously, this is a very important topic for me. But it's not only important for me as a coach, it's important for me as a woman. And that's why I'm doing this. Today is all about reckoning with your insecurities. What does that mean? What does reckoning mean? It means that today I'm going to talk to you about how to identify your insecurities and identify what your insecurities are doing to you in your life to be able to better address them. Because really, what are you going to fix if there's anything that needs to be fixed? What are you going to fix if you don't know where it comes from? What are we going to change or modify or shift if we don't realize and acknowledge the root of our problems, the root of our conditions? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. How to recognize your insecurities and how to deal with them in a healthy way. So, for me, it is important because a year ago, I moved to the United States. I got married to my husband. You guys have heard this story a few times. But my insecurities flared up. I came into a new culture, and hi everyone that's joining. I came into a new culture thinking that I really was gonna kill it. I underestimated the magnitude of the change that I was embarking on, and my insecurities flared up. I mean, I spent months feeling very depressed, and even though I taught, hi Sarah, I was taught to power through things, I never necessarily wanted to know where these things came from for me and what they were doing. I was very blind to how I was being affected. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How to reckon with insecurity. And by reckoning, I mean how to realize, admit, and obviously and honestly, because I love to say it, embrace these thoughts that come up for you and acknowledging how they affect you. So let's get started. Just to get it out of the way, I'm Annie Woods, and I am an authenticity and confidence coach for women. And this simply means that I help women, and I am a vehicle for women to embrace who they really are, to create the life they want, no matter how that looks for them. And that's why this space has been created as a space free of judgment, and we really, really love everybody that's here, and we love supporting each other. So thank you, thank you, thank you for watching this and for being a part of this with me. And in the next 5 days, just so you know, a little review. Today we're tackling the insecurity. We're reckoning with the insecurities, but we're going to talk specifically about insecurities that have to do with money, with body image, with health in the next 5 days. So I'm going to give you my ways, my tips, let's say my methods on how to deal with this particular areas of our lives when insecurities pop up. So just so you know, stay tuned because this is going to get better and better. And it's going to be, I have an announcement on Friday, so I really hope that you are paying attention. Hey, Becca. So let's get started. The first part, and this is I'm going to provide some information to you pretty much, but the first part of it for me is, what are insecurities? Some people think that being insecure is being shy. Some people confuse the lack of confidence with being an introvert. And I want to tell you right now that those things have nothing to do with each other. Please Take out of your mind the idea that your behavioral type, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, will define your levels of confidence. And insecurity is a defense mechanism that your body, that your mind and your ego has created to protect you from the worst of pains, which is feeling rejected. It's an agreement that you have made that completes the sentence, I am not enough blank, or I am not blank enough. So as you're watching this, I want you to think, what is the word that completes that sentence for you? What are the areas in which you feel like you are not enough? And I am not, my intention is not for this to be painful, but I want you to start acknowledging when things come up. What are the thoughts? Because we sometimes go straight to the reaction. And this is very important because it will allow you, if you recognize your reaction, if you recognize your go-to emotion, it will allow you to recognize when those insecurities are coming up. So I will ask you, when you're feeling insecure, how does it show up for you? And I want you to be very conscious about this. Sometimes it's shyness, yeah. Sometimes it's negative self-talk, but sometimes it's pride. Sometimes it's anger. I know that anger used to be my go-to insecure mode. When I felt like I was threatened, when I felt like I was not enough, I went with anger. What about you? What would you say is your go-to emotion when you're feeling insecure or threatened or not blank enough? Not taking risks. Thank you, Sarah. Yes. Not moving forward. It's like analysis paralysis type of thing. You just freeze there because you are too scared of what's going to happen. Because if you're not blank enough, that means that probably you will not be successful. Being scared of failure is a great symptom of your insecurities, of lack of confidence. Now, I want to talk to you about, where do you think those things come from for you? Yeah, stuck in my thoughts. Yes. I like to think that that is, in a way, where our insecurities kind of like flourish, our thoughts. But what is the antidote for that? We will talk about it in a little bit. Thank you so much, Sarah, for participating, because yes, being insecure is being stuck in your thoughts. It's not seeing past yourself and the ideas you have for yourself. It's just, or the ideas that you've believed and you've agreed that exist about you. And that's pretty much an insecurity. It's just an agreement you have made with yourself. You have accepted that that's a reality and that rules your life. Because one of the main things that human beings would like and appreciate doing and live for is survival, obviously. So survival, now that we're not in the age where dinosaurs are trying to bite us, though I don't know, I'm not very good with history, so maybe they never try to eat us. But now that we're in the age where we are not fending ourselves from predators, what is the one thing that we as humans are more afraid of? Not feeling loved or feeling the pain of rejection. So these insecurities come up as signals that you are getting way too close to being rejected or not being accepted. So in a way, your insecurities have protected you so far. Exclusion, yes. We are social beings. We want to belong and we want to feel like we are being a part of something. But our insecurities are there to make sure that we don't take it too far, maybe, and that tames who we really are. That kills our authenticity when we let insecurity just drive the freaking car of our lives. So that's what we're doing this here today. We need to first acknowledge these insecurities. We need to face and acknowledge how it's affecting us. So we already said a few of the ways that it's affecting our lives. Now think about how it is affecting your relationships, how it is affecting your career, how it is affecting the amount of money you have in the bank. And I'm not talking about the whole mantra in the morning, I'm abundant, I am prosperous. But really, what is the underlying issue in the quality of life you have right now? It is whatever bullshit story you have told yourself. Do I sound like Leonardo DiCaprio now? Whatever bullshit story you have told yourself about who you are. But first, somebody told you that and you decided to believe it. So who was it for you? Was it mom? Was it dad? Was it a teacher? A friend? Who was it that told you such a convincing story that you decided that you were going to agree with it for the rest of your life? And let me tell you something. As human beings, we look for evidence every single day that these stories are true. Every day, you do something to prove to yourself that you are not blank enough. Whether it is committing to something that you know you shouldn't because you're not going to do it. Yes, society told you that. Yes, Sarah. But what's closer to you? What area of your life? Probably society taught that person. But there's someone closer to home. Or maybe was it the show that you watch every day that told you? Who wanted to keep you safe. And by doing that, told you these stories about yourself. Who wanted to prevent you from feeling excluded. In my case, it was my dad. He taught me how to behave to be accepted, to not be embarrassed, and most importantly, not embarrass him. And that shaped my way of seeing myself and seeing the world. I am a recovering perfectionist that resorted to judgment when she felt insecure, that felt anger when she felt insecure. So what is your weapon when you feel insecure? Do you judge somebody and try to find where they're lacking so you can feel better about yourself? Or do you judge yourself harder? What is that part of you that ignites when you are feeling in flight or fight mode? Do you flight or do you fight? These are the types of questions I want you to start asking yourself in this week. Because I'm not doing the work for you, I'm just providing you information, but also providing you with the information that has helped me in the past year to thrive in things that I never thought that I would even try. So, we've mentioned that insecurity is just the idea that you're not blank enough, that it is a defense mechanism that your mind and your ego has created to protect you from the fear of exclusion. Because nobody wants to be rejected. But also we've talked about these things come from somewhere. Somebody taught you this. And maybe they didn't tell you, but they acted in a way that you understood that was the way to go. Society, like you said, Sarah. I mean, what the freaking hell? Especially as women, we are taught that there is a right way to be a woman. That if you have multiple partners, you're a hoe, and that's not right. But if you have never slept with somebody, you are a prude, and that's not right either. Who the hell decides what's right and what's not? In your life, you decide. So, talking about that, and talking about how things manifest in your life, think about one particular, let's say, bad habit you have. For me, it was watching behavior more than someone saying it to me. Yes. Sometimes when we don't necessarily have we don't have all those conversations and communicate with the people around us that much, we just emulate. And it hurts. It hurts because we feel judged. Because we want to be like these people that apparently have it together when we're kids and we're teenagers. And nobody has it together. Hear me now. I am a life coach. If I ever come on this group and tell you that I have my shit together, get the hell out. Yes, I've gone through a lot. Awesome. We all have. But you have the power to go to wherever you want because we all have that. And that's why we tackle your insecurities. So I want you to think of one habit that you have that you know is not the best. Is it emotional or stress eating? Are you a compulsive shopper? What is the emotion that's triggered by these actions? What is the good juju you feel when you do these things that consciously, at a conscious level, you know is not necessarily the best for you? That is also a mechanism that you have created to supply yourself with the endorphins that come with feeling included. The endorphins that you search in social endeavors, and also the endorphins you search for when you do your hobbies. Sometimes when you canalize, my English is failing me now. When you just put that energy towards something that's not good for you, you can tell what insecurities are coming up for you. My biggest insecurity, how it manifested in a way that hurt me a lot, was through putting myself through physical pain in exercising. I exercised a lot, and I know who the hell complains about over exercising when there are so many people that don't. I complain because I hurt my back, I hurt my body. I have a lot of immunodeficiencies now because I did not think that I was hot enough. When I was growing up, I grew up in a chauvinistic society in which women with big boobs and big butts were the hotness norm. But nobody taught me that I didn't need to search for that. And that's what I'm telling you. Your norm, your values, your standards are the ones that are going to dictate your level of confidence, not everyone else's. So after you realize where this comes from for you, after you ask yourself the question, start digging in. Okay, so who did I see? You know that we're always scared to be like our moms or be like our mother figure? Maybe that's the person that taught you this. What did you learn from her? What did you learn from them? What did your friends tell you, or what did your friends did that made you feel the way you do? Ask yourself these questions. That's where things starts, ladies. If you don't dare to get curious, you will never get anywhere. I'm going to ask you now, how do you feel when you are stressed or angry and your partner or your friend or whoever's really close to you asks you, hey, are you okay? Are you feeling, is something wrong? What's wrong? My go-to was just to blow them off because I felt so annoyed and invaded when somebody asked me what was wrong with me. But I realized that I was not necessarily annoyed by the fact that somebody really cared about me. I was annoyed by the fact that I had to answer the question. Curiosity is painful. Curiosity can bring with it anxiety because it means that there's something that you might not know yet, and uncertainty brings anxiety. So I invite you to get curious. And that's pretty much the exercise that I have for you. I do it through journaling. You could do it in the mornings, whenever you want. There are questions that I want you to ask yourself. I'm actually writing them down because I don't have necessarily all the best memory in the world. And that's awesome. And these are the questions that I want you to ask yourself in the next 5 days when you find yourself succumb into insecurity, whatever insecurity looks like for you, whether it's judgment, anger, sadness. When you find yourself in your particular emotion, I want you to ask yourself, where does this come from? Not necessarily go back to the past and see who taught you this, but what shifted? What particular thing happened that triggered this? At first, you're going to feel like, oh, nothing has happened. I'm just like this. That's not true. There is usually a trigger, unless you are clinically experiencing something. If it's emotional, there's usually a trigger that you will be able to trace back to your emotion. So ask yourself, what shifted? Where did this came from? After you find the root of it, was it that somebody told you something, or somebody ignored you, or you were not able to have that conversation with your boss, you were overlooked for that promotion, you don't have as much money as you thought you had in the bank. Yeah, after those weekends of partying, that can happen, and that can send you into a well of insecurity. So once you find that trigger, once you're able to trace back your emotion, ask yourself, is this emotion serving me right now? Sometimes, yes, we need 5 minutes to feel like a victim. Sometimes we need, some crying and some ice cream. But by asking the question, is this serving me right now? You only have 2 answers, yes or no. If you're honest with yourself, most likely the answer will be no. So the next question is, what now? What do you get to do now to be responsible for your life? And I want to give you a new definition of responsibility. I know that we've been taught that responsibility is usually being at fault for something, or being the person in charge of something. I know that responsibility, if I were to ask you now, at first, if you don't have necessarily a leadership background or something, you might say that responsibility feels heavy. It feels like the whole world is on your shoulders. I want to give you this possibility. What if responsibility is broken down into two words? The ability to respond. Rather than react emotionally to something, even though you can't necessarily help your emotions, but rather than stay in that emotion, what if you responded to that trigger? What if you responded to the stimulus from the outside rather than just react? What if you stayed with yourself and asked, okay, what now? What if you were able to respond to every single thing that happened in your life, even if it were your fault or not? Because we always love to play the blaming game. It's not my fault. I'm not going to do anything. So once you find who taught you whatever it is that you learned about yourself, don't stay there. Don't use your past as a couch to sit down and whine. Use it as a trampoline to get to wherever you want. You have the ability to respond to anything that life throws your way, but it is decision. So again, you ask yourself, okay, what shifted? When you find yourself in this emotional moment, what shifted for me? What was the trigger? Why am I feeling this way? The second part is this emotion serving me right now? And the third part is, what now? At first, you're going to feel like, well, nothing is going to happen right now at all. But then once you realize that this emotion is not serving you, something's going to start to slowly shift within you. Because once you know and realize something, you can't unknow it. You can pretend, but it's going to be there nagging at you. And if you decide to ignore it, it's going to become one more insecurity that you're adding to the list. If you decide to not do anything about this thing that now you know that you can do something about, there's going to be a new blank that you're going to have to fill in the phrase, I am not blank enough. So I invite you to go in. Ask the questions. First, where did this emotion come from? Second, is this emotion serving me? And third, what now? I know it sounds simple, but I want you to realize that sometimes things are not as hard as we think. There is no there's a lot of science behind emotional wellness, but there's no machine, there's no complicated machinery that will get you to where you want to be. There are systems in place, but they're all at the core the same thing. And the thing is, you get to do what you want to do to get the life that you dream. So, just to recap a little bit, because tomorrow we will be talking about a very specific area of our lives that insecurity is affecting us in. Insecurity is just an agreement that you make with yourself to believe the sentence, I am not blank enough. Today, after this video, or whenever you see it, I want you to make a list of all the things that you think you're not blank enough. Why? Because then you will understand where these things came from. And you can make the agreement to believe something new. 2, insecurities can manifest in ways other than shyness. It has nothing to do with your behavioral pattern. You can be an angry, insecure person. You can be a boisterous, insecure person. You can be a shy, insecure person. However your insecurities manifest, have a lot to do with the way you are brought up, not necessarily your behavioral tendency. And once you feel yourself in an insecure pattern, an insecure state of mind, ask yourself those 3 questions in order to find your next step. Tomorrow we will be talking about how insecurities affect our relationships. If you feel like your insecurities are only yours to deal with, I have news for you. You project that shit every day, and it affects every single person that you touch. So I want you to think about that and just stay in the questions, ladies. There's no shame in asking me if you're feeling, if this doesn't feel like fun, and you need a little boost, just ask me, ask anybody here in the group. But ask yourself, what is this insecurity? I know this is very basic, but this is how you start tackling things. I cannot give you a I don't know, a magic potion for you to feel confident if we don't understand together where your insecurities are coming from. So I invite you to get curious about yourself and to be brave. It requires a lot of bravery, and I believe in you. I believe in every single one of you, and I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Okay, ladies, thank you for watching. Talk later.